Let us read Proverbs chapter 4, verses 14 to 19. Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of the evil. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they cannot sleep unless they have gone wrong. They are robbed of sleep unless they have made someone stumble. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn. It shines brighter and brighter until full day. The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know over what they stumble. A traveler once came to a fork in the road just as the sun was setting. One path was wide, well trodden, and busy with many feet moving swiftly. The other was narrow, quiet, and gently sloping upward, barely visible in the fading light. There was no signpost, no voice calling out which way to go. The traveler hesitated, knowing that once he chose a path, turning back would not be easy. Life, in many ways, is lived at such crossroads, not once, but daily. Scripture tells us that since the beginning of creation, humanity has always stood before two paths. In the Garden of Eden, those two paths were clearly marked. One was the tree of life, symbolizing dependence on God, obedience, and life flowing from relationship with Him. The other was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, representing independence, man deciding for himself what is right and what is wrong apart from God. When Adam and Eve chose the forbidden tree, they were not merely eating fruit, they were declaring autonomy. They chose a path that said, "We will determine our own way." The result was separation from God, expulsion from the garden, and loss of access to the tree of life. God, in His mercy, prevented them from living forever in that fallen state. From that moment onward, humanity has been walking between two paths. This pattern continues throughout Scripture. Cain and Abel stood on different paths. Cain brought an offering shaped by his own effort and understanding, while Abel came by faith, trusting God's way. One path was marked by self-reliance and resentment, the other by humility and obedience. The difference was not merely in what they offered, but in the posture of their hearts. One led to jealousy and murder, the other to God's approval. Later, we encounter two cities that reflect these paths. Babel represents humanity's collective attempt to reach heaven through rebellion and self-exaltation. Let us make a name for ourselves. Jerusalem, by contrast, is portrayed as the holy city where God dwells with the people who submit to His will. One city rises in pride and is scattered. The other is built by God and endures. Even Abraham's household reflects this truth. Ishmael, born according to the flesh, and Isaac, born according to promise, stand as living testimonies that God's way is not achieved by human striving, but received by faith. The book of Psalms opens by confronting us with this same reality. Psalm 1 draws a sharp contrast between the righteous and the wicked. The righteous person is described not only by what he does, but also by what he refuses to do. He does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of scoffers. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and he meditates on it day and night. The wicked, on the other hand, are compared to chaff, light, rootless, and easily blown away. They have no stability, no future, no standing among the righteous. The psalm ends with a sobering declaration. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. God knows one way intimately, the other leads to ruin. This contrast between the way of the righteous and the way of the wicked is woven throughout the entire Bible, and Proverbs returns to it again and again. In Proverbs 4:14 to 19, the writer urgently warns the reader not even to step onto the path of the wicked. There is a sense of alarm in his voice. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on. Why such intensity? Because the path of the wicked is not only destructive to those who walk on it, but also harmful to others. They cannot sleep unless they have done wrong. They are robbed of sleep unless they have made someone stumble. Evil, once embraced, becomes addictive. Sin no longer feels like a burden, it becomes a necessity. The wicked are so entangled in wrongdoing that rest escapes them unless they have pulled someone else down. Their influence spreads and their path becomes a snare for others. Proverbs describes this life with striking imagery. They eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. What should nourish and sustain instead poisons. Evil becomes their daily diet. Then almost suddenly the tone changes. The writer lifts our eyes to the other path. But the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. This is not a blinding flash of light, but a steady, growing brightness. The righteous person does not have everything illuminated at once. He walks forward in obedience to the light he has received. And as he does, more light is given. Clarity increases. Direction becomes surer. What began as dawn eventually becomes full daylight. David echoes this truth when he describes the righteous as a tree planted by the streams of water. The tree is not struggling to survive. It is rooted in a constant supply. Its fruit appears in season, its leaf does not wither, and whatever it does prospers. This prosperity is not shallow success, but deep spiritual vitality. The righteous draw their nourishment from God's faithful love, and this inner life produces visible fruit. In stark contrast, Proverbs 4:19 tells us that the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know over what they stumble. Darkness disorients. It hides dangers. It creates fear and confusion. Those who walk this path do not even realize what has caused their fall. They stumble not because the obstacles are great, but because they cannot see. It is an aimless walk, moving forward without direction, without awareness, and without hope. Proverbs reinforces this contrast repeatedly. The light of the righteous shines with joy, while the lamp of the wicked is extinguished. Those who walk uprightly fear the Lord, while those who are devious despise them. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loves those who pursue righteousness. The path of the upright is described as a level highway, while the way of the sluggard is overgrown with thorns. Scripture leaves no room for neutrality. There are only two paths. The early Christians understood this well. They were known not merely by what they believed, but how they lived. They were called people of the way. Their faith was not an abstract philosophy. It was a visible path they walked. And at the center of that path was a person. Jesus did not say, I will show you the way, but I am the way. To follow him is to walk the path of righteousness. Righteousness, then, is not a private idea tucked away in the heart. It is a public allegiance, a daily obedience, a visible following. Two ways lie before every person. the way that leads to life and the way that leads to destruction. No one drifts into righteousness. The current of the world always pulls toward darkness. To walk the narrow path requires intention, trust, and daily surrender. It means listening carefully to the voices that shape us, watching where our feet stand, and choosing our companions wisely. It means delighting in what God delights in and turning away from what dulls our spiritual sight. For those who follow Christ, this choice may come at a cost. We may lose friends, opportunities, recognition, or advancement. But what we gain is far greater. The path of the righteous is the path of those who are known by God, loved by Him, and fruitful for eternity. As we walk in the light we have been given, trusting Him step by step, our path will grow brighter. And one day, the dawn will give way to full day, and we will see clearly that the way we chose was worth everything. God bless.